Joined by Livingstone Kawesi for sign language interpretation and translation. We'll start with what's happening in our region in the Republic of Kenya. Kenya's newly elected president says he has had a phone conversation with the outgoing president Uhuru Kenyatta about the transition. William Ruto said they spoke about the just concluded election and the democratic transition. In his own words, he says he had a telephone conversation with his boss, President Uhuru Kenyatta, where they discussed the just concluded general election and the transition as envisaged by the democratic tradition and practice. Mr. Kenyatta, who backed Mr. Ruto's rival Raila Odinga for presidency, has not spoken to the newly elected president since he was declared the winner of the August 9th general election. In a media briefing on Monday after the Supreme Court confirmed him as the winner, the president-elect said they had not spoken for months. On the same day, President Kenyatta sent out a statement giving an assurance there would be a smooth transition without mentioning Mr. Ruto or congratulating him for the win. Some Kenyans online have been criticizing Mr. Kenyatta for being petty about the matter. And in Togo, the country has extended a
Togo's parliament has
extended
extended
for 6 months in its northern Savannah's border region hit by the jihadist attacks. The West African country, which has recorded at least 5 attacks since November, declared a state of emergency in June, which was due to end mid this term. Yesterday, the Togolese National Assembly unanimously voted to extend it for 6 months until March next year. The extension was necessary for proper conduct of military operations and maintaining order and for a return of peace and security in the region, according to the Togolese Minister of Security, Damehame Yak, as he was speaking to the press. Togolese troops are deployed in the north to try to contain a jihadist threat pushing south from Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, where militants linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group operate. And in Nigeria, the police have arrested a 44-year-old woman for alleged theft of 15 children in the southern Rivers State. The police say the children were abducted in order to be trafficked by the woman who claimed to be a nun running an orphanage. The children are reportedly aged between 4 and 15 years. The police say they were working to reunite the children with their parents. State Commissioner of Police Friday Eboka said investigations revealed that some had been abducted years ago, including a 9-year-old boy who had been taken from a market in 2020. He said some of the children had recounted to the police their experiences of torture and mistreatment. He said a further probe into the incident was ongoing with a view to arrest other suspects linked to crimes. Human trafficking is common in Nigeria. Moving on to Asia, 7 people in South Korea have died after they were trapped in underground car park during floods caused by Typhoon Hinamnor. They had gone down to move their cars but got caught by the incoming torrents. Crews say they rescued 2 people who reportedly survived by clinging to ceiling pipes for more than 12 hours. Typhoon Hinamnor, the strongest cyclonic storm this year so far, hit South Korea earlier this week. The rescuers had to wade through meters of brown water to enter the almost completely submerged basement last night. According to the news site Yonhap, all 9 people were residents of an apartment building who had earlier on Tuesday morning been told by the management office to move their cars from the car park. And in the United States, U.S. tech companies that receive federal funding will be barred from building advanced technology facilities in China for 10 years, according to the Biden administration. The guidelines were unveiled as part of a $50 billion plan aimed at building up the local semiconductor industry. It comes as business groups have pushed for more government support in an effort to reduce reliance on China. They are faced with a global microchip shortage which has slowed production. The U.S. and China are locked in a long-running dispute over trade and technology. In the United Kingdom, Liz Truss has rewarded her key allies with top jobs in a major reshuffle hours after succeeding Boris Johnson as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Kwasi Kwarteng is made Chancellor, James Cleverly becomes a Foreign Secretary. Suella Braverman replaces Priti Patel as Home Secretary. One of Ms. Truss's closest friends, Theresa Kofi, is appointed as Health Secretary and Deputy Prime Minister. Her new cabinet will meet ahead of her first Prime Minister's questions later. None of those who backed her defeated rival Rishi Sunak will remain in her full cabinet, with Dominic Raab, Grant Shapps, George Eustace, and Steve Barclay all returning to the back benches. Ms. Truss's press secretary said the changes would unify the Tory party and pointed to senior roles for 5 of her leadership rivals: Suella Braverman, Tom Tugendhat as Security Minister, Kemi Badenoch as Trade Secretary, Penny Mordaunt as Leader of the Commons, and Nadim Zahawi as Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster. And moving on, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has welcomed calls by the United Nations Nuclear Agency for a safety protection zone at the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. The plant has been occupied by Russia since the start of the war, and it has come under repeated attacks since, with both sides blaming each other. The UN says the shelling of Europe's largest nuclear power station must end immediately. Shelling could cause unlimited release of radioactive materials, according to the UN. In a report published yesterday following last week's much-awaited visit, the International Atomic Energy Agency said that the presence of Russian military equipment on site could undermine its security. Shelling continued while a 14-strong agency team visited the site last week, and its head, Rafael Grossi, warned at the time of a very real risk of nuclear disaster. Although most of the team left the plant after 2 days, it said 2 of its officials would remain there on a permanent basis. Mr. Zelensky said he would support the safety zone if it aimed to demilitarize the territory of the nuclear plant. He said the report noted the presence of Russian military hardware on the territory of the plant and referred to pressures on employees alongside clear references to the Russian military occupation. Well, that brings us to the end of this afternoon's news in brief. Thank you for watching Channel 44. I remind you of the Karamoja cry. We are delivering food relief to the people of Karamoja who are dying of hunger. Please join us. We have so far sent over 70,000 metric tons of food to the people of Karamoja. We are looking at sending another 100,000 tons of food relief to the people of Karamoja. Also, given the season that it's getting rainy and it's getting wet, it is very important that we also send them clothes and things like blankets to warm them up, since it's going to be cold. So join us by bringing your seed to the Miracle Center Cathedral. You can donate clothes, you can donate blankets, bed sheets, or anything that is in very good condition, so that the people will be free in our own nation. You can send the seed on the numbers that will be availed in the services. Otherwise, God will tremendously bless you. God bless you. Enjoy your afternoon. Pastor Jessica is coming on. Have a good afternoon.